Good morning, class. How are we doing?
Good.
Good. Okay. So does everybody know what today is?
Press conference day.
Press conference day. That's right. And we worked very hard this week coming up with questions for your historical figures. Okay, let's talk about a few things that I'm going to be looking for when grading you. And that goes for the audience as well as the actors. So can anybody tell me something that you do when you perform? Yes, ma'am.
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly. Very good. Anything else? What about giving accurate information?
Yes.
That's right. That's why we researched yesterday. And we also want to be respectful because people are nervous and we want to give them our full attention. So, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Miss Brittany Gaylor from Fox News.
Hi, I'm Brittany Gaylor reporting live from Fox News. And today at our press conference, we have three famous historical figures. And first, we have Mr. Ulysses S. Grant. How are you today, Mr. Grant?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for being here today.
No problem.
I have a few questions. My first question is, were you in the military prior to the Civil War?
Yes. I graduated from West Point as an officer. I spent a little time in the military, but I re-entered the military at the start of the Civil War. After several major victories, such as Fort Donelson and Vicksburg, in 1864, President Lincoln appointed me as the General-in-Chief of the entire Union Army.
And what would you say was the turning point of the war?
There are many options for that, just depending on which side you're looking at. But for me, I believe that the Battle of Gettysburg was the turning point of the war for us, just because that was the last attempt General Lee had to invade the North. His attempt failed, and he was forced to return to Virginia.
And how did you know that the Union had won the war, and how did you feel about that?
Well, I knew that General Lee and his soldiers surrendered at the Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, that he finally won the war. Well, we had finally won the war. General Lee had less than 10,000 soldiers left when he surrendered. I knew this was the turning point for the United States and the beginning of freedom for many enslaved people.
Okay, and thank you. Thank you for being here today. Let's give it up for Mr. Grant. Next with us, we have Mr. Robert E. Lee. How are you today, Mr. Lee?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank
Good.
you for being here.
Thank you.
Why did you turn down President Abraham Lincoln's offer to lead the Union Army?
Well, I am from Virginia and I feel a commitment to the people of Virginia. Therefore, I turned it down to fight for the South.
And how did you know Stonewall Jackson?
Stonewall Jackson. I met my good friend Stonewall Jackson during the Mexican-American War. Then we met in 1862 and he fought beside me to defend my beloved Virginia from the North.
And how do you feel about General Grant?
General Grant. Well, according to my famous quote, I suppose there's nothing more for me to do but go and see General Grant, and I would rather die 1,000 deaths. I really don't like that man.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, let's give it up for Robert E. Lee. And our last historical figure of the day is Mr. President Abraham Lincoln. How are you today, Mr. Lincoln?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
What was your role as president in the war?
Well, as president in the war in the beginning, I served as a leader until the leadership was changed to Grant of the Union, of course. And then, although I never gave up my loyalty to the Union, I just took a little bit less of a direct approach, and I focused more on my presidential responsibilities.
And what was your biggest accomplishment?
For me, my biggest accomplishment would probably have to be the Gettysburg Address, just because it wrapped up everything that the war was about, and it kind of stated the freedom that the slaves wanted, and generally the freedom for everybody in the country.
And are you satisfied with the conclusion of the war?
Well, war in general is not a very beautiful thing. It's not a great sight to see, but as the conclusion of it, as loyal as I am with the union and what I wanted from my presidency, I think it was a good conclusion and everybody got the freedom that they wanted.
All right, thank you, Abraham Lincoln, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
I'll kiss your baby leg.
All right, I'm Brittany Gaylor reporting live from Fox News, and I hope you enjoyed our press conference today.
All right, good job, y'all. Good job. So grades are going to be, I'm going to give your grades back on Friday. You guys spoke very clearly. Everyone was respectful, and you gave accurate information. So good job. Thank you.